Welcome, everyone, to this week's episode of Reanimated, episode 89. Long hiatus, but super psyched to talk to you today, Stuart. What's up?
Yeah, yeah. Hey, there's a note for our listeners. It might not be a super long hiatus because I've also been pumping out episodes from the editing room floor very slowly. So it might seem as if only a few days passed between episodes,
Only a few
but
days. Well, that's good then.
we're definitely in like a fall lull as far as
Mm,
production goes, though.
yeah. But this episode, as all of our episodes, are brought to you by Squarespace. Squarespace, build it beautiful. You can create your own website, customize it to your own liking. We use it here at Reanimated. It's awesome. And if you're a first-time user, our friends at Squarespace have given us an offer code to share with you. Zombie, not case sensitive. Throw it in there. If you're a first-time purchaser, you get 10% off. So thanks again, Squarespace. Um, for your continued support. So, Stuart, what are we talking about today?
So we got a couple of the newses around
The
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 zombie,
newsiness.
the zombie news, and then we've got a real peach of a film
Oh my
review
god.
today. So excited to talk about this movie. So, but
Well,
let's
I'm
talk
glad
about
you are.
yeah, man. Let's talk about the news first.
So the news, I mean, a little bit behind, but a couple of the things I was collecting. Usually around Halloween, there always comes up articles just about what cities you would best be able to survive a zombie apocalypse. There was sort of one that combined and rated and like all different cities, and then there was of course one specific one about Denver, Chicago, Baltimore, all that kind of thing. But what I did notice is that New York always ends like it's less survivable, unsurprisingly. But
Not yeah. You guys are stuck on an island,
yep,
or a variety of
there's lots of
peninsulae,
there's lots of people.
rivers everywhere.
Like resources would certainly be scarce if our current hurricane slash blizzard preparedness is any indication. When people just go crazy. But I did notice that the town you and I both went to school in, Boston, actually got pretty high ratings, which I was a little bit
It
surprised
was
at.
number one, wasn't it?
Yep.
Yeah,
But
based on medical mostly. Like they came in absolutely first in terms of whether or not they would find a cure, and I'm not sure what hospital or research facility they're basing that on, but and then they just kind of came in upper middle of the pack on a few other things, but somehow then still managed to clinch the top score.
well, BU does have that super terrifying viral research lab there, so that may be why.
Somehow I feel like it's going to be more in the Harvard and MIT area that they're putting their eggs in that
Maybe,
basket.
maybe who knows? Maybe the BU lab is where the outbreak happens, and then the other, I don't know. But anyway, but there was that. Then in other news, there was the CBS finally orders a zombie show, which I had never heard of this. Had you heard of this
No, and
particular
honestly,
storyline?
it sounds a little what is it? It sounds like True Blood but for zombies kind of.
Yeah, totally. And it's the creator Simon Barry who did Continuum. Did you ever watch that?
That's the one about the time traveling Canadian
Yeah,
cop.
yeah. And I mean, I watched that through the end. The first season was clearly the best. So there's some interesting stuff that he has done in the past. But as with many shows, it kind of lost its luster after the first season.
Mm.
Although I still watched it, of course, to the bitter end. But this is called Dead Man Walking, and I think the gist of it is that the government is able to resurrect people, and this guy was executed wrongly, of course, for killing his wife. So that's sort of the synopsis, and you're right. It totally sounds like True Blood because there's like a lot of government things involved, and
And there's this like class system where the
yeah,
reanimated are second class citizens, blah blah blah.
blah blah blah. Yeah. So, but anyway, interesting that they decided at this point to do that. And then, lastly, in the news is the Walking Dead theme park ride, which Harry Potter World has made inroads. So I'm not really all that shocked at this. and it's just a ride apparently. But I've seen a lot of this in the news lately that there was like a talk of a Hunger Games theme park, and all sorts of things that are in the works, which are kind of dark, if you ask me. But I mean, because I was imagining a Hunger Games scenario where people are trying to survive and get out of like the different rides at the park or something like that. They're not quite as lighthearted as Harry Potter. I mean, Harry Potter has its darkness, but clearly has a whimsical side to it. There's not all that much whimsy related to the Hunger Games and the Walking Dead. So, anyway.
Yeah, unless it's just like find jar of pudding, eat pudding in between,
Maybe.
in between terrible, terrifying things. It's hard to imagine for sure.
But anyway, so and I mean there was a few other news items, but of the typical ilk that we normally see, but nothing too crazy. Did you have anything else?
No, nothing going on right now other than just real world events that are terrifying all over the place.
Yeah, I know.
Um,
Yeah,
but
totally terrifying. So,
we can discuss that another time.
yeah.
For now, though, if you don't mind, through the mayor, I would like to discuss the film that we had decided to review today, or I had put up there, and you were like, "Fine, when has Stewart ever led me down the wrong path?" So
Bro.
the name of this film, which doesn't even have a Wikipedia page, which I find to be a travesty, is Navy SEALs versus Zombies.
I mean, where could this go wrong? Uh,
Yeah, Navy SEALs versus Zombies came out in this year, and it's just, in a nutshell, it is to oh God. So it's what Sharknado wants to be, but
yeah,
fails because it tries too hard. This
right.
film takes itself so seriously and fails so spectacularly in
It's
a
kind
like
of
an action.
amazing.
It's fantastic.
Yep.
It's like sublime. Anyway, so this film, as the title might suggest, it actually had a pretty good trailer. Did you watch? I made you
Yeah,
watch.
the trailer is decent, and plus it has Ed Quinn, who I adore.
Oh
So
wait, you know who he is?
yeah, he was one of the main characters on Eureka for a while.
Right, and then he became non-corporeal. I saw
Yes,
that.
he became non-corporeal, but I
That's a good
just
way to
I
get
thought
written
he
off the
was like
show.
he always plays a good dick.
Okay, yeah, I was just like, he kind of looks like the B team's Bradley Cooper. But okay.
Yeah. So anyway,
Well, I mean, between him, Michael Dudikoff was kind of one of my heroes as a kid growing up because he did all the American Ninja movies, and he is the scar-faced
oh
guy
yeah.
in the command center.
Hmm.
And then Rick Fox is in this randomly, and I don't know that he's done that much acting, and definitely his turn here as the vice president is mostly emphasized by looking dizzy. Like,
Yeah, he does look dizzy a lot in
that's
this.
that was
That's
his
true.
direction as far as we can tell. Is
Look
okay,
confused.
okay, Rick Fox, former NBA player, and I don't know if he's still married to Vanessa Williams, but used to be. Just look confused and dizzy for a while and wear that suit.
And also say, "What's going on?"
What I okay, America. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah,
Totally.
it was fantastic. And then there's three actual Navy SEALs in this film
Hmm.
who are pretty obvious based on the way they talk. Although one of them is not so obvious because he's probably 40 pounds heavier than he should like than he was when he was a Navy SEAL. Um, but, yeah. And then there's a few other people who are just like, I hope that their acting careers take off from here.
Hmm.
There are so many examples of, I don't know if it's bad direction or bad acting or bad script. Actually, the acting is probably okay. No, I can't say that. I
No,
can't
it is not okay.
say but there's like all of these scenes with people acting with a capital A.
Hmm.
And it happens for like four or five different characters, even people who really don't deserve it, like a woman in pantsuit who's been bitten, who's about to get on a helicopter.
Yep.
When she has that serious, I'm going to look in the mirror and have a conversation with myself moment, and we're all privy to that. It's
Yep.
fantastic. It's
It is really good.
so good. So, anybody else on the cast that you want to discuss?
No, I mean it's Ed Quinn is my main guy. And then oh sorry, the woman that was the sort of CIA person that we
Yeah,
kept
Molly
seeing.
Hagan.
Yeah, Molly Hagan kept like just describing everything that was going on and filling in all of the gaps, so many that there were, with random pieces of information which she never expands upon, and you're
Oh
just sort
God.
of expected to accept because
And
it's her saying it. But
uh,
yeah, so with her and like Ed Quinn, I was like, oh, maybe it'll be okay, but no, 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 no.
oh, and pantsuit
But
woman looking in the mirror is actually Lolo Jones, who's like a former athlete. She's like a big time former athlete. That's why she
yeah,
got in the movie. Anyway, sorry. But yeah, Molly Hagan, her final scene in the film, uh,
just wraps it up for with a
but
neat
it's
little
such
bow.
a she wraps it up with information that wasn't in the movie the whole time.
Right, right, totally.
Oh, it's
So
one of these things where you're just like, oh my God, you can't do that. You can't tie up a film. You can't summarize a movie with new information at the end and be like, see, it was fine because the whole time this was this. It's like, no, you can't do that. You have to.
vaccinate your children, everybody.
Whoo, lordy. Anyway,
Yeah, no, it's
yeah, because
amazing.
it comes down to vaccinations that they had because they were Navy SEALs. Oh
Right.
wow. Oh wow. Okay. Plot wise, um, this film starts really slowly. Well, no, it's pretty slow. Also, I got the impression that everybody was wearing their own suits. Like they didn't have a. Actually, that's not true because one guy had a suit that really didn't fit him. One of the
No,
president's
yeah, it
staff.
did kind of feel like show up in business wear because it felt like they didn't have a budget for costuming or something,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, absolutely.
Anyway,
Uh, yeah. So you've got a few different moving parts in this. You've got Vice President is addressing Baton Rouge at City Hall, and you've got the young reporter and her unintelligible cameraman. What's
yeah,
his name? Dave. His real name is Massimo Dubrovic, and unfortunately, I'm sorry, I don't know if you could understand what he was saying, but
I could never understand anything he was saying.
he was speaking English, but his accent's just a little too strong. Just doesn't
Well, his
work out.
accent was too strong, and also the some of the there was a lot of background noise in this particular thing. Did you find that? I found that throughout that the sound was definitely lacking.
Like they didn't have a good a good.
Well, it would like kind of go in and out, and there were parts where the background was so like but I think his biggest problem was the accent. So
Yeah, I think for sure because everybody else you could basically, for the most part, understand unless unless they were just garbling their lines. Um, yeah, but so they're like the media angle, which they don't actually take. I mean, considering this was, I felt like this movie was kind of run by these Navy SEALs. I assume that they had a lot of creative power on the set
yeah,
because it's some of their lines were just like very technically correct but absolutely unnecessary, and I was just like, why would you even include that? It reminds me of one of those novels that I described to you a few weeks ago. I was reading this set of novels on the zombie apocalypse based on like a hyper militaristic setting, like a
yeah.
bunch like a former operator in in a zombie apocalypse. It's basically this movie in a way, or like part of it, and they do the same thing. It's just like I unclipped my carbonite iridium sunglasses from
Yep.
my. I'm like, okay, we don't know, unnecessary. Let's just move on with the plot, please.
I also felt like the number of times the word bro was used in this film could have been a drinking game. Come on, bro. Stay
Yeah.
with us, bro. We're walking down the street, bro. Come on, you thought it was funny
Oh
too.
no, it's there's so many. This is the problem. This is kind of the problem with this film. There are so many amazing, amazing scenes.
The other thing that I really enjoyed was the character AJ, who is like the new baby
Yeah,
seal, so to speak. I love when he's home that to show that he's home and not like in seal mode. He always wears like flip flops and really short camo shorts. That
this
was kind of awesome, and I was just like, okay, so it's showing he's home and relaxed now. He has his flips on.
this is how he comes home from the mission. And his wife
I
sees him for the
know,
first time,
right?
not in uniform.
Right.
At some point, he's changed clothes
To show
and
off a little bit of thigh and to
snuck
definitely
it.
show his feet because he's off
Yeah.
mission now. It's awesome.
So he's one of the. I mean, there are. I feel like the actors probably outnumber the non-actors in this movie, but you know, between the Seals, the Rick Foxes, the Lolos, uh, there you've got a lot of non-actors kind of swimming in the same swimming pool as actors. Definitely on the SEAL team, it's Ed Quinn and the guy playing AJ, and then everybody
Yeah,
else
everybody else is like not.
is not an actor. I mean, some of them have done a few things because they're
Well,
like,
a lot of them are like advisors, or have been advisors in the past, like military advisors, because they had obviously military experience.
yeah,
Um, I almost felt like this could have been a production that the Kardashians put together because they were like, you know what would make a great zombie film? There's some seals together, just a few actors. It'll be fantastic. You know what I mean?
hmm
Like that's what it got. Like these B level celebrities and things like that, and that's what it kind of felt like. But you know, the thing that there was like a lot of if you go from just like a zombie genre film point of view, I really the timeline in which the infected turn varied wildly throughout this film. And I've also got to believe that Navy SEALs, once they've encountered this issue, are not going to be like trying to like talk down a zombie, i.e., AJ in the alley with the girl zombie.
yeah, yeah. But
Like
he's the rookie. I don't know, but yeah, you're right.
he
Yeah.
might be the rookie, but I'm sorry, he's not gonna be doing that. Sorry, it's just not happening. And I felt like that happened a multitude of times within this film. I also wanted to talk to you about some of the CGI and the stunt budget that they had here.
You mean when
Like,
when they parachute into Baton
oh my
Rouge?
gosh, it was when they parachute in. There's like this amazing end scene when they're helicoptering out, and then like supposedly the city is now being like firebombed,
Yes.
and there's just sort of like the CGI is so terrible, it's breathtaking.
When the vice
Um,
president's helicopter goes down,
yes,
there's just like for some reason the pilot is on the radio saying, "Hey, lady, get away from the controls," instead of like just talking to her.
right,
Uh,
right.
yeah,
No,
yeah.
that
There
was
are
good.
some very bad examples of CGI, but you know what? The movie needed it. It didn't need the bad CGI, but it needed some CGI. It's just they didn't have clearly they didn't have a budget.
But there, I did like that. There was the one piece where the car gets like where AJ like takes out the car. Like they were like, oh, we've got to have like some kind of like a car stunt. And so there was like this thing where the zombie with the infected was driving the car, and AJ's like, okay, I'm gonna blow this up with a grenade, and then the car like flies over their heads. It
Yeah,
was
because
amazing.
zombies drive cars in this
Yep,
world.
yep,
Also, I mean, there were a bunch of scenes when AJ is going through the city with the
yeah.
reporters, where in the background there are people just like walking around having their normal day.
I know.
And was
And
like at first I saw a car drive by in the background. I was like, oh wait, is that? Oh, I guess they're saying that like not the whole town is overtaken and there's still people driving around. And then I'm like, that looks like someone just going shopping.
I think probably that was the case. And they just didn't have the budget to whatever block off a street or whatever.
I'm sure Baton Rouge is really quiet on like a Sunday morning whenever they were trying to shoot this, but there's still going to be that one person that your production assistants just can't wrangle up.
But anyway, I mean, this was fantastically awful. So, I mean, my takeaway from this is that if you're into like that kind of thing, this is going to really serve up a super cheesy, hilarious zombie film. The reviews of this were also hilarious. I don't know if you read any of them.
Oh, please share with me.
Stephen Wood is the person reviewing this. And the end spoiler is, with the countless zombie movies released at any given time, it is safe to say that Navy SEALs vs. Zombie is one of the larger turds in a pool of smaller turds. Avoid at all costs, even if it's free.
While the turd analogy is accurate, I feel like this should not be avoided because it has that quality, that magical quality of so bad it's good.
I agree with you, and so it got a lot of reviews like that where people were just totally panning it, not really taking in the good cheese and ridiculousness that makes it so grand.
Yeah, it's fantastic. I've just kind of got it running on a monitor right now, and I'm looking at the scene where they're holding down this dreadlock zombie who's attacked them
Oh,
in
that
the
was
lobby,
good.
and they hold him down, and it's like a 5 minute scene where they're just holding down a zombie and cutting his arm with a knife to
Yep.
like do science.
Yes, and I like how they're describing the scientific whatever it is, like while they're doing this. It's hilarious. And then it's like, and then they come up with the reason why they have to hit them in the head, like why they have to kill them, like with a shot to the head. It's really good.
Yeah, but it's I forget what it was. It was something nerve related. It's amazing. And you know what? They really missed an opportunity to have Chief, the big guy, come back. Like he gets bit and killed by a zombie, but doesn't reanimate.
Yeah.
You know who I mean? The guy who get the seal
Yeah,
who
yeah.
dies
I was
outside.
waiting for him to come back and he never did.
Yeah, it's kind of odd. Maybe they just thought it would be like disrespectful.
But maybe he was immune because of his Series 7 shots.
Oh my God, you're right. None of them turn.
Right.
That was the answer all along. You're right. You were thinking about this. Golly. Yeah, I mean, Michael Dudikoff, my hero forever, American Ninja throughout the 80s and early 90s, chews up the scenery every time he's on camera in the command center, just like barking orders and gravel voicing at the
Yep.
CIA lady.
He plays his part well.
He does. And she plays just like, if you've ever seen Homeland, she's basically Claire Danes' character plus 30 years.
And no
It's
crying.
without the trembling lip and the drug addictions. Oh, it's just there are so many things. The Secret Service totally get rolled, which there's like five, six, seven, eight of them defending the vice president. They all die off camera for the most part, but it's kind of crazy how easy it is for them. I don't know. Maybe that's just part of the film. They're like Navy SEALs are the only people who can handle this.
Yeah,
Secret
but you know
Service,
what? Except they failed in their mission to get the vice president back.
they totally failed that.
Like they absolutely failed. That was kind of weird to me. I was like, how could they allow that to happen? I thought that was a little odd. But
Yeah, they just let this obviously wounded looking aide get on the helicopter. Yeah, you're right. They totally fail that. So much of this film is weird reaction shots because they are doing these off camera and CGI scenes. I'm sorry, I'm watching them all get up on top of the stairs of the Capitol building and lie down.
it's amazing. And I do think it's funny that the sort of weird, which I guess is he's supposed to be sort of comic relief, Larry, the weird security guy. I thought for sure
Yes.
he was gonna bite it, but he makes it out. Overweight Larry makes it out. It's awesome.
Yeah, he's really only there to be like, "Oh, you guys are Navy SEALs, how awesome!"
I'm Larry.
Uh,
My mom's name is Mary. In case I don't make it.
God, another one of these just amazing decisions that this
Hmm.
film makes. Uh, Execution, not great.
But I'm glad they put it together for my entertainment value.
There's a guy in this film whose name is Han Soto. It's just literally one letter away from Han Solo. That's the actor's name.
Yes.
I think he's the communications officer who works with Michael Dudikoff in the command center. Either way, amazing. I don't know. Is this? There's not a whole lot of secondary information because this film apparently doesn't exist on the internet.
Anywhere. No.
It doesn't even have a score on Rotten Tomatoes. But
I'm surprised
critic,
with that. But
yeah, the
you know.
audience is when you look at the audience, it's like 94% of people want to see it. I think if they were able to monetize this, a la Sharknado, get the word out there. Now that they've made it, and it is as bad as it is, but they didn't have to like work to make it bad, or you know,
I think
they
it should. I think it should have a solid like silly zombie movie cult status.
if Sci-Fi Channel plays it just on a loop
Right.
for like a week, it would. I feel like this movie's got it all. It can make it.
I think so too.
Directed by Stanton Barrett, who's a stuntman and
And NASCAR driver.
and a NASCAR driver. Yeah, and his company. I was looking at his Wikipedia page because he has one. The truck number 91. Blah blah blah. Barrett was driving the number 91 Chevrolet Silverado, sponsored by Navy SEALs versus Zombies at Talladega. So they had some kind of budget.
Yeah.
I mean, that's him sponsoring his own thing, I guess.
Yes, but apparently it was just for cars like this. It wasn't actually for the film.
Yeah. But so he was the director. Writing credits: A.K. Waters, story by, and then the screenplay is by Matthew Carpenter. A.K. Waters grew up in Texas. Oh, he's done another movie called Texas Zombie Wars. starring another one of the guys who's a Navy SEAL. Billy, the medic, is in his next film. We'll have to keep an eye out for that.
All right, we'll have to wait in
It's
wait in glorious anticipation of that.
it's coming out in January 2016. So soon.
So soon,
So
yet
soon
so far away.
in theaters. Good grief. All right. So I guess we can recommend this film, but with a caveat that it's
Yeah,
bad.
yeah, it's totally bad. It's so good, it's bad.
Run out and get your hands on a copy. Oh, and now that I'm done talking about Navy SEALs versus Zombies HA, I need to talk to you about The Walking Dead.
Is this part of the show?
Yes. I wanted to be able to express some beef without giving. Oh, I mean, I don't know. This plot point I feel like has been spoiled all over the internet, and so it's not going to be a spoiler for me to say what happened.
Yeah, well, just say if you're not
Yeah.
if you're not wanting to be spoiled, turn this episode off right now, and now we can
Yeah.
talk.
Yeah. Exactly. Turn it off. We're only going to probably podcast for another 5-10 minutes anyway.
Yeah.
So what Glenn's fate is, it's like, it seems like it's
Kind of
90%
unknown,
certain.
but 90% certain.
Yeah. Certainly the speculation online is rampant that he is still alive. It's a non-canonical thing that has happened to him, and so honestly nobody knows what the hell's going on. But and you know what? When that episode ended, I was like, "Holy crap! I can't believe they did that. This is awesome. This is, what a fantastic season so far." And since then, I am getting less and less positive about it.
And why is that?
It's starting to feel like season 2, except they've just raised the stakes from
Right.
Sophia to what happened to Glenn.
Yeah, well, I kind of saw that coming too. And I knew there was going to be a ton of hand-wringing about Maggie and the fact that she's expecting, and you know what I mean? Like you kind of knew that that's where they were going to go with it.
Yeah.
And it feels like, at least in the episode I saw after the one that we're talking about, there just seemed to be a lot of like running around from one place to another with no result,
yeah.
right? So
They
it just
did this thing that they do when they split up the cast.
right.
So we've got Daryl, Sasha, and Abraham, and they are one episode. There's a whole fucking Morgan episode. I don't know if you've seen that one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
There's
did see
an
that one.
entire episode dedicated to his backstory, which is an hour and a half long. And I was like, oh, an hour and a half long episode. This is going to tie up so many story,
But it didn't.
like loose ends. It just
It
gave
did
us a
not.
whole, but like this should have been its own TV movie over the
Right.
summer or something. I don't know.
Or it should have been like a separate. I feel like they could have done a webisode or something of this, right? Like it just felt like it didn't. It felt like it was an odd spot to drop this.
It's great. I mean, I love the backstory, but
No,
it's
I do too, but it felt weird that this is the point in time where they decided to do this. That's
yeah.
all.
Well, it's all to torture the audience. I mean, I
Well,
feel
of
like it's
course, clearly.
maybe they're like, oh no, it's building expectation or but I'm just I feel like there's only so long I can live on a cliffhanger while the rest of the show is actually still going on. And there's only a couple episodes left before they take their break over the winter and start up again in February. So we might not even, I mean, we might only figure out the real fate of Glenn because Scott Gimple went on, or at least released a statement on Talking Dead right after that episode saying Glenn will return in some
one
form.
form of another.
Right.
Yeah.
So you saw
But
that too.
don't you feel like this is a little bit Game of Thrones though with Jon Snow? Come on, clearly Jon Snow is coming back.
I don't know. The book hasn't been written yet, so I don't know.
Well, I'm
I know
only
the
saying
show's gonna
this
come out
because he
before that
popped
book.
up on set and he's been like all cagey and showing up. Like he's clearly coming back. And I'm wondering, well, I mean, at least in Game of Thrones, I think it's going to be Jon Snow is probably the chosen one / Christ character. Harry Potter character, whatever you want to call him. But I think that something like that's going to happen to him. In Glenn's case, I don't know. To bring him back as a zombie, I feel would be too easy in some ways. I mean, we've seen them do this with what's his face with Daryl's brother. Why is his name escaping me? Merle. And I feel like they've already done that. I think what's probably going to happen is Glenn is going to show up, but totally psycho for whatever way he had to get away from the zombies or something.
Oh, I don't want another story arc of Glenn having to come back from PTSD.
You know what I mean, though. Like that's what he's good at. It feels like that's I can't. I feel like because of the canon, and because Glenn is one of the longest surviving characters, I feel like there's got to be more. They're gonna torture the audience more with like him being separate from the group and making his way back somehow. I don't know. That's just my opinion, based on nothing other than my opinion. No real reality basis here.
All right. Well, I don't want to talk too much about it because you haven't caught up on the season, and enjoy the rest of Jessica Jones. I've been watching that too, and it's pretty good. It's
Which episode
pretty
are you
grim.
up to?
Like 3 or 4, not that far.
Oh, okay. So, I'm liking it actually more than Daredevil.
Uh, it's a
Which
little more self-aware, I guess, than
it's a little more
Daredevil.
self-aware. I think I'm really loving Luke Cage. I think he's an awesome character.
Hmm.
And some of the fight scenes I think are pretty amazing. So I don't
Hmm.
know. It's interest. It's an interesting. I you know
I like the
I'm
big
gonna
bad. I like the
I
supervillain power a lot.
yes I do too, and it's pretty cool. And it's one of those things where it's not getting too tired because you kind of see where that's going, and it hasn't gotten overdone yet. So and I do like how they're revealing pieces of the backstory very carefully.
Hmm.
So you keep getting little reveals here and there through flashbacks, but it's a good kind of a flashback. So I'm enjoying this a lot. Um, so highly recommend at this point. I'm about halfway through, so I think I'm at episode 6.
Okay.
So jury's out until the end, but right now very promising.
Yeah, I'm liking it a lot. I love when these kinds
Though
of
a
things
word of
come out.
caution, this is not for kids. Really
No,
not.
no, I think you figured
Very
that out in the
much
pilot.
not. So
Yeah, between that and Man in the High Castle coming out, I'm like, this is a great time for internet television.
it totally is. I haven't. Have you started watching it again? I'm kind of reserving that, but
It was tough because there's so much time has gone by since the pilot to
right.
watch the second episode, and they don't really give you a recap. You're almost like expected to watch the
Watch the
pilot.
first one again. Yeah.
But actually, we didn't, and it came back pretty quick. You're like,
Yeah.
okay, yeah, this is who she is. Yeah, okay, you kind of
This is
figure.
who she is. Yeah, yeah.
And that's just
How far in are you with that?
just one. We've watched one more episode because this one I'm
Okay.
watching with my wife, and so we have to find time to watch stuff together.
All right. Well, let me catch up on that. But
We'll catch up on The Walking Dead, and that way I can really just
okay, light into it. Yeah.
yeah, just go. Yeah. I mean, we also need to review season 4 one of these days.
Yes. So join us next time when we discuss Ash versus the Evil Dead. We're probably going to discuss the first couple of episodes and see if Stuart loses his mind or not, and then take it from there. But if there's anything, if you have any thoughts on Navy SEALs versus zombies, we'd love to hear them. Twitter's, it's Reanimated PCast, and you can also check out our website, reanimatedpodcast.com.
Absolutely. And we will be back, and we will be podcasting at you again soon.
Indeed. Ciao.
Goodbye.